welcome everyone. Today we have Dr. B. Prakash Babu with us. He is the Associate Professor, Department of Anatomy from Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. So the today's session, he will be webinar session. He will be international webinar session. He will be talking on recent advances in neuroanatomy research. So I welcome sir to kindly take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to everybody and those who are attending. And my name is Dr. Prakash Babu. I'm just giving a very brief idea regarding recent advances in neuroanatomy. I don't say I'm giving 100% information, maybe little information, an idea you may get after listening to that. Okay, thank you for the conference host giving me a chance. I'm starting that one. So now, so what is reason? It is a, I'm talking about the neuroanatomy research. It's a multidisciplinary research here to understand the neurons. You know that neurons are the building blocks of the brain. Plasticity means it can be molded here. The learning and memory mechanisms. What is the neurobiology of the sleep and stem cells? That we'll talk in later. In the repair of CNS means central nervous system. Whenever the brain is damaged, if you induce stem cells, it can be replayed. And transplantation. Now the different animal model, first, you know, any research is done on the animal models, then it can be maybe correlated or may not be correlated. That is called problems are called as neurological and health disorders here. Now these studies encompass autonomic in the patient with neurological disorders. So one neurological disorder, I can say Alzheimer's disease here. And just simply one example I'm talking, Parkinsonism, that also is that one here. Now another one here, so this also evaluating the effectiveness of the yoga and Ayurveda in treating the depression cases, stroke, epilepsy, and disorders of the anxiety and migraine. Migraine, you are seeing there are a lot of cases nowadays here. Now, what is pathophysiology of motor neuron diseases? Motor neuron disease means coming from spine, lower motor neuron you can call, upper motor neuron also you can call it. And Parkinson's disease, that is seen usually in elderly patient. Now, next one, this is the one, what you are seeing that one. Now there are different, lot of models are there, the areas are there where you can do research here, apart from what I told here. One is brain mapping, learning and memory, stem cells and disorders, and smattering of the mutations. This is only few I brought it, but many are there still. But main these four I'm telling that one here. Now after this one here, so next one we'll go. First I'm talking about the stem cells here. Now what are the stem cells? As I told you, brain mapping, learning and memory, stem cells, and mutations. They're the present field, good field of research now. Now we are talking about the stem cells. After that, I'll go to the brain mapping. Later, we'll go to learning and memory. These three only I'll talk because my time is only 45 minutes. Now these are the foundation cells for every organ and the tissue here. Any organ. Example, one organ is liver. You can take. This is one example I'm telling you. Or tissue here, epithelial tissue, whatever you can see in the body. Their stem cells are foundation cells here. Now, what is going to happen? These under normal conditions, proper conditions, they develop here. They begin to develop or they differentiate. And to specialized cells that carry out specific functions. So these cells can modify and take the function of skin. They can modify, they can take the function of the muscle. They can modify and take the function of the cells of the brain here. Okay. Now that is one thing here regarding the stem cells here. Now this is stem. Just see that one. These are stem cells. That one. Just first see the picture of the stem cell here. Now here is a developing embryo, and this is the inner cell mass we call anatomy. We call it. From here they take this one here, and here that one stem cell can go to the modified and develop into cardiac muscle cells. So we suppose if the heart is damaged here, it can repair that one. Intestine cell, enterocyte, it can fat cells, blood cells, RBC, chondrocytes here, that is in the cartilage here, epithelial cells, and the neuron cells here. So this is the how they can be modified here. They can be modified here, the epithelial cells here. Okay. Now, after that here, what are other features of these stem cells here? These stem cells, which I just now I told here, they are human specialized cells here. As I told you, they can develop into different cell types. It can be muscle cells, just now I told muscle cells, or it can be brain cells. This is a brain cell from. So I didn't put all these cells from here to here. They can differentiate here. They can differentiate here. Now I told liver cells, I told here. Intestinal cells, I told. And here you can see the neurons here. Okay, here you can see the muscles here. RBC, blood cells, you can see that one. Okay, now these researchers, what they say, believe that these stem cell, they're a very big field now. Therapies, maybe one day be used to treat the serious cases like paralysis and Alzheimer's disease. Now, what is a paralysis here? A loss of muscle function in a part of the body is called a paralysis. Now you can see this one here. One picture I shown. This is a normal picture of the face here. Now you can see the paralysis. This is a paralyzed face. This side is normal. This side is gone here. This side is gone here. Now here is a brain here. This side is normal and this is gone here. So disorder, progressive disorders where the brain cells degenerate and die. That is Alzheimer's disease here. Alzheimer's disease. So if a patient is found having this one, there are chances of little recovery. I'm not telling full, little recovery by using the stem cell therapy here. Stem cell therapy. Now, these stem cells, what are these one here? They're unspecialized cells here. Please remember that one. They call as, they don't have anything here. They're unspecialized. You can call as a blank, they can call. They are capable of dividing and redividing, renewing for longer period of time. Longer period, there's no specific time for that here. Now they, as I told you, they have capability or potential to give rise to different types here. I told from the muscle cell to the neuronal cells here. Now, these are three important characteristic features of the stem cells. Please you have to remember that one. They are self-renewable. They are self-renewable here. So means a cell that has a capacity or ability to divide continuously here. Continuously it can divide. That is called self-renewable. Pluripotent here. Pluripotent. See, this is the one here. This is the pluripotent. Pluripotent means they have ability to develop into several kinds of cells or tissues here. Several kinds here. So example from inner cell mass you are taken. Here is their nervous tissue, it is muscle tissue or blood tissue. They have capability here. Then again, they have repair. So whenever remember that one, stem cells here, remember that one, they are able to return to the function to damaged cells. So now here, heart has been damaged here. Bone also is damaged here. Bone cells, osteocytes. So if they are inducing this one, wherever there is at least there is a capacity to return function to damaged cells in the living organ. There is a stem cell here. A lot of work is going on this one, in the stem cell here. Now, what is going to happen? Stem cell, how they are differentiated here. This is the fertilization. Then you can see the inner cell mass, the stem cells here, in the human fetus. And you can see that one, pluripotent cells. They, now you can see they can go to the circulatory heart. They can also go to the immune system. They can also go to the nervous system. They differentiate here. They differentiate here. Now, these types of different kinds of stem cells here. One, embryonic stem cells, I mean during embryo. Embryonic germ cell. Germs, okay, we'll go one by one. Adult stem cell here. Now we'll go to embryonic stem cell. Embryonic stem cells, you see, always you should see from the inner cell mass. Embryonic stem cell. So they seen in the 5 to 6 layer of the embryo here. 5 to 6 layers of embryo, you can see embryonic cell there. So they have ability to form any type of cell found in the human body. As I told you, it may be intestinal cells, cells of the skin, cells of the heart, cells of the brain, many types here. They're called embryonic because it's coming from the embryo here. Any types it can form here. Now, embryonic germ cells. Please remember, germ cells means germ layers here. As we know, germ layers are 3: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm here. So they're derived from the human embryo or the fetus. That ultimate these one ultimately produce eggs or They ultimately produce the eggs or the sperms here, embryonic germ cells here. Now, adult stem cells here. This is the last one, adult stem cells. They are not differentiated, called undifferentiated cells. Then present among the specialized cells are differentiated in a tissue or organ, but they are seen after birth. Please remember that one. Doesn't mean that only when a person reach adult stage you see that one. These adult cells are seen in a tissue or epithelial, example epithelial tissue, organ. It may be example liver after birth here. Okay. Now as per the latest trend here, latest research, these adult stems they appear to have more restricted ability. Means ability is very less to produce different here. So remember that one. Stem cells are very only in the embryonic are very having high capability when compared to the adult stem cell here. Now just see that one. Adult stem cells here. They are going to brain here. They can go to the heart. They can see in the skin, intestine. You can see the blood. All you can see the muscle. But remember, they are seen after birth, not when an individual reaches the adult stage here. Okay, adult stage here. Now after this one here. Now let us go to next picture here. This is the diagram taken from the net here. This is the stage of the blastocyst here. After fertilization, all these things here. Now this is the blastocyst. From here you can see that one. Cells are removed from here. And this one is called as inner cell mass. This is the area. They are removed, that one. They are isolated. ICM means inner cell mass. And they are taken a culture, that one, and called as pluripotent stem cells. So pluripotent means they are capable of differentiating into one among the many one of many cell types here. So this is from the inner cell mass in the embryo here. So this is the stage of the blastocyst here. Okay. Now, after this one here, in the reproduction stage here, this is the egg, and this is a sperm. This is a zygote in the embryo, and you can see how the baby is born here. Just the picture here. This is a picture. I'm just telling that one here. Now, out this one here. This is the blastocyst here, inner cell mass from the fetus, 5 to 6 days. Now this one, what is going to happen? They are isolated, and this is destroys the embryo here. Okay, this then culture, that one they're doing the culture. Then after the culture here, there some cells are taken to repair the heart here. To repair the heart here. Now just see that one how they are taking here. How they are taken here. Differentiation. It may be intestinal cells, pancreatic cells, liver cells, heart cells, and the neurons here. And the neurons here. Now, come to that one. What are the stem cells of the adult? Stem cells of the adult here. Now, what do you mean by adult stem? I just now told in the beginning here, in the beginning, 2-3 slides before, adult stem cells are seen after birth, not in the adult stage here. So this is an undifferentiated cell found among the differentiated cells here. Now, example, you have seen a liver. Example, I'm telling you, you have seen the liver. Liver consists of hepatocytes. Among that, I'm talking in relation to the organ. Some undifferentiated cells are there among the liver cells called as adult stem cells. So these, for example, if the liver is damaged here, these undifferentiated cells can again bring the differentiation to the hepatocytes here. Okay, and so like this, so and can differentiate to yield some or all the major specialized cell types of the tissue or organ. Example, I told liver, it can differentiate on that one, or it can tissue here. The main role of the adult stem cell in a living organism to maintain and repair the tissue where they are found. Example, if the liver is damaged, some undifferentiated stem cells are there, which are seen in the time of birth here. They differentiate again, can transform into the hepatocyte, which have been lost here, okay, in the injury here. Now, remember that once some scientists also found somatic means some body wall stem cells instead of that adult cells here. Somatic refers to the body, not to the germ cells or sperm or the egg here. Please remember, body wall, not the organ here. Okay. Now after that, if this is a differentiation going on here, okay. Now what is going to happen? Two types of cells again are found out here. Researchers have found out in the okay, and the bone in that bone marrow. one called hemopoietic stem cells, bone marrow stem cells here. Hemopoietic stem cells and bone marrow stem cells. Their researchers have found out here. Now, what is hemopoietic stem cell? They form all the types of blood cells in the body. All the types of blood cells in the body, they are the hemopoietic blood cells here. Bone marrow, okay, they're called skeletal stem cells. They're non-hemopoietic and make up a small portion of stromal cells, okay, and they degenerate into the bone, the cartilage, fat, cells, and that support the formation of blood and fibrous connective tissue here. So, but remember, they are non-hemopoietic. Bone marrow stem cells are non-hemopoietic. Hemopoietic, they generate into that one all the types of blood cells in the body, all the types of blood cells in the body. Now, where these adult stem cells are formed, what do their normal function? Adult cells can be found in many organs, the tissues, including the brain, the bone marrow, blood vessels, skeletal muscle, skin, tooth, heart, gut, liver, the ovary and the testes here. Okay, these cells, okay, they reside in the specific area in each tissue here, called stem cell niche, they call it in the clinically they call it, okay, and these are non-dividing for longer periods of time until they are activated by normal need for more number of cells to maintain the tissue here, or the tissue is damaged by injury or by disease, then only they come into play. Otherwise, if the organ is healthy, I told just now liver, if the organ is very healthy, they will not play any role here. When the organ is injured, like tissue damage, whatever you can call, they come into the play here. So that is their normal. What do they normally? They do that one. What do the normal do? Okay. Now after that, now next picture here, you go that one. Now hemopoietic stem cells, see that one here. These hemopoietic stem cells, what is they're having? Bone marrow stem cells, and you can see that adult stem cells where they are found here. This is bone marrow stem cells. Okay, bone marrow stem cells here. Okay, stromal cells here. Okay, now after that here, now next adult, then will that one. These typically there is a very little number, small number of stem cells in each tissue, and once they are removed from the body, their capacity to divide is limited here, making generation of large quantity of stem cells difficult here. This is very, very difficult here. So what they did, scientists have done a lot of experiments. What is the way to do that here? Cell culture and to manipulate into different cell types so that it can be used for treating an injury here and a disease here. So, okay, that one here. So example here, in this one, in insulin one type 1 diabetes here. So these cells can be a heart attack, where is heart attack, and the cells can generated into what is that one, cardiac muscle cells here. Okay, during the heart attack here. So these are adult stem cells here. See that one, how they are going here, adult cell cells, all these things here. Okay, RBC, all different one here. Okay, now you can see that one here. The liver, you can see stem cell subcentral nervous system. You can see all these things, fat cells, cardiac muscle, glial cells, epithelial cells, all these things. You can see that one. Okay, now what they do, scientists have reported that stem cells in adult can occur in many tissues, and that they enter normal differentiation to form specialized cell types. Okay, now after that here, what is the normal differentiation in the adult stem cell? Adult stem cells are available to divide when needed here. When needed only they do. Otherwise, they are not just, they are not active at all. They are not active here. Now, hemopoietic stem cells, again I'm telling you, hemopoietic stem cells, they give rise to all the types of blood cells here. RBC, red blood cells, T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, NK cells means natural killer cells, eosinophils, monocytes, neutrophils, and macrophages here. Let us see the different types of stem cells here. One, MSC means mesenchymal stem cells. They give rise to variety of cell types. One, the cells in the bone called as osteocytes, cells in the cartilage called as chondrocytes, cells in the fat called as adipocytes, and some connective tissue cells in the tendons here. Then still neuronal stem cells here. This is all, see that one here, bone cells, cartilaginous cells, adipose tissue cells, all these things I told that one. Neuronal stem cells, these are neuronal stem cells. They give rise to three types of cells, and they are neuron. Okay, then another one, non-neuron here, connective tissue cells, astrocytes and oligodendrocytes. Astrocytes and oligodendrocytes. That's neuronal stem cells. Neuronal stem cell. Then epithelial stem cells here. Epithelial stem. This is epithelium. Okay. Now is a layer of cells covering. Okay. Now epithelial stem cells lining the GIT. Okay. Give rise to several cells here. Okay. Now what is going to happen here? They give rise to several types of cells. This is the only example I turned of the skin I told that one. Now skin stems, okay, skin stem cells here. They are present in the lower part of the epidermis of the skin. They give rise to keratinocytes, but which are capable of migrating to surface and form a protective layer. So these skin cells are called follicular stem cells, can give rise to the hair follicle and also the epidermis here, Now this is the how you do the things. The things as I taken from net, I acknowledge with thanks from where the okay. One is isolation, characterization, expansion, and differentiation. So in the isolation here, they isolate this individual stem cells. They characterize and track this one here, culture them, and control and activate and differentiation to desired lineages here. Cells retain their functionality. You have to be very careful, and they are transplanted here. So then this is the one enable economical expansion to make cell therapy a reality. There should be even after this one, they should be functionally active also here. Now, how this is? I'm talking about stem cell important here. Nowadays, they are found out they are important in facing the disease like diabetes, injury to spinal cord, Parkinsonism disease. Now is seen in the adult age where the difficulty in walking, unable to perform their not able to perform the regular movements here, day-to-day movements here, heart diseases, genetic diseases like cystic fibrosis, Huntington's chorea. All these are the now they are doing all these experiments. Okay. Now somatic, remember that one. Somatic, this one, what do you call stem cell therapy using a bone marrow transplantation to treat leukemia is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult, because you must have, when you do this type of thing here, therapy here, you must have proper donor for that here. It's very difficult to get this one here, but still there are options. That one, what is a leukemia? Is a blood cancer. Is a blood cancer of WBC, white blood corpuscles or leukocytes. Now what is these leukocytes? That one, they develop from the somatic stem cells and they're released into mature one. They go to the bloodstream. They fight off the infection in our bodies. Leukemia results when the WBC begin to grow and function abnormally, and they become cancerous also. Now what is going to happen if you want to treat with the patient with leukemia? Okay, depends upon get rid of all the abnormal leukocytes in the blood, allowing the healthy ones to grow on their place here. Okay, this is the best for this type. Is the best is chemotherapy, where you inject the drugs to target and kill the abnormal cells here. If it's not successful, eliminate them all. Physicians use again this type is called as bone marrow. So remember, the bone marrow is the second option. First one is that one, chemotherapy. So bone marrow is the second option here. The first one doesn't work out here. In the bone marrow transplantation, please remember that one. In the bone marrow transplant, remember that one. Bone marrow transplant, patient bone marrow stem cells are replaced with from a healthy matching donor, means outside here. So what is that one patient? Now we have to see the blood group of the patient. Suppose recipient blood profile, everything should be known. What is that one blood group, all these things. A suitable donor, the condition, everything has to be checked here. Very, very difficult. Some blood groups is very difficult to get this one. Okay. So there's a donor. Okay. To do this, all the patient existing bone marrow and abnormal leukocytes are first killed using a combination of chemotherapy first, again radiation, if you are taking for the bone marrow transplantation. Next, donor bone marrow. I'm telling again, it's very difficult to get. Some groups are very, very difficult. Some groups are very easy. Universal donor, universal. It's very, very difficult. So healthy stem cells are introduced in the patient bloodstream here. If the transplantation is successful, bone marrow, okay, the stem cell will migrate into the bone marrow and producing the new cells, healthy leukocytes, and to replace the abnormal cells here. So that's all this one here. This is the key somatic cell therapy bone marrow transplantation in treating the leukemia here. Now this is this one. Then again, umbilical cord stem cells also are there here. So umbilical cords means that is the umbilical cord here. So newborn infants here, or after delivery here, okay, umbilical cords are cut and then they are discarded, and as a byproduct of the birth process, is it discarded? Umbilical cord is discarded here. Now what is going to happen? That is the previous one story. That's the previous story. Now, as the latest trend here, okay, what is going to happen? The stem cells are very rich in umbilical cord here. Stem cells, rich blood is found in umbilical cord, and these cells are being proved now in treating the health problems and using associated with bone marrow. Remember that one. Now a lot of work is going on that one. So now what is that one? When the child is born, umbilical cord is cut out, some blood is taken and kept as a storage here. Now umbilical cord blood cells and breasts are less prone to rejection. When you introduce the patient, the recipient has to accept that one. If it's not accept, that called rejection, you call that one. Then either bone marrow or peripheral blood cells. So what is going to happen? First case, just now I told, there are some cases of rejection, but here there is no rejection. So why? Because in the umbilical cord, the cells have not developed the features that can be recognized and attacked by the recipient immune system here. So these umbilical cord cells here lack well-developed immune cells. There is less chance of rejection here. So this latest trend is that one umbilical cord is taken up. Now this is one thing here. Now what is it? How do that one? Tissue repair, heart repair, cancer, arthritis means affecting the joint. Parkinsonism means that is the where there is a neurotransmitter deficiency is there. Now what is leukemia? Leukemia is, I told just now, is a cancer I told here. Okay. Now stem cells also I also have reduced pancreatic cancers in some patients here. Okay. These studies have shown that when leukemia patient treated with stem cells emerges free of disease. There are some reports, but remember every case will not be same. Some will be successful, some may not be successful. They all sometimes the matter of luck also. Now diabetes, different types are there. In the diabetes, pancreas, you know that one doesn't produce insulin. So endocrine gland, alpha cells, glucagon, beta cells, insulin. So the basic research is going on how the embryonic stem cells might be trained to become pancreatic islets needed to secrete insulin. Insulin deficiency is that one. Now what is there in the unknown thing here? It is uncertain that embryonic stem cells in vitro can give rise to all different types of cells in the body still is not known. Some lacunae are there in this one here. Okay, a lot of challenges are there in the stem cells here. These are stem cells are to be needed to differentiate into appropriate cell types before they can be used clinically. Suppose some patient has abnormal chromosome numbers and structure, so that also is taken care. And the contamination by viruses, bacteria, fungi, that also has to be taken care. There are a lot of challenges are there in this one, the stem cell therapy. Now just see the brain here, how it is developing here. Okay, how is developing during embryonic development here. This is I'm acknowledging from this author from this journal where I taken here. Just see the neurogenesis means genesis of the brain here. Genesis of the brain here. Okay. Now again here, neurogenesis in the hippocampus. You may ask me, what is the hippocampus? It's a part of the brain concerned with the memory and the learning. Now you can see 7 in the hippocampus, 700 new neurons per day. Turnover 1.75 is taken from this author. Okay, 2013 is given that one. Okay, now remember that one. This also I taken from the the author. I acknowledge with the thanks by how the regulation of the hippocampal neurogenesis by physiological factor, pathological factor, pharmacological stimuli. Stress can degenerate the neurons. Aging degenerates neurons. Inflammation degenerates neuron. Okay, now that is one thing here. Okay, now this one field I told stem cell therapy. I told now. Other I told brain mapping. I told learning and memory. Also I told that. I'm just giving a brief this one information. I don't say 100%. Maybe little information I'm giving you. So brain mapping. What is exactly here? Is a lot of work is going on. A set of neuroscience technique predicted on the mapping of quantities or properties into spatial representation of human or non-human brain, resulting in a map here. But there is no clear-cut definition. But in 2013, there is Society of Brain Mapping and Therapeutics that we call as SBMT. Brain mapping is defined as summary study of anatomy of the function of the brain and also spinal cord through the image, some techniques, imaging you call, immunohistochemistry and optogenetics, stem cell, cellular biology, engineering, neurophysiology and nanotechnology. There is a definition they are given that way. Okay. Now brain mapping here. What is the importance? It allows you to visualize inside the brain, identify very clearly the brain waves. Now remember there are the normal brain waves are there. If you put electrodes on the brain, neurology they see the normal brain waves. If it is anything problem is there irregular brain waves. So these irregular brain waves are there some neurological issues are there. So from the brain map a report is generated in each patient which areas of the brain are not having proper function that you call as dysfunction and some protocols some things are there to recommend to address this one. This patient is having this problem as per the brain mapping. These are things has to be done here. Okay, that is the one called another one brain mapping. Now, which part of the brain makes a mapping? So, hippocampus tracks where you are. Hippocampus tracks where you are. Means is a part of the brain concerned with memory and the learning. Prefrontal cortex of the brain helps plan your route here. That's it. Okay. Now, remember always don't use a brain mapper app to get it around that. We rely on our own this one, recommend address them here. So this is a brain mapping here. Okay. Now brain mapping, what is importance here? Helps memory and retention, enables meaning of learning, engaging in the learning here. Complex issues to make easier to understand. Okay. So what is brain mapping technology? You track the fibers and neurosurgeons can plan the most effective and least damaging pathways to remove. See that one, this is not a normal brain. You can see the brain tumor. With the brain mapping, you can make out, remove the brain tumors here. And remove the brain tumors here. You can see the brain mapping here. Okay. Now, what is the learning here? Remember that. What is the learning? Learning is a process. Please remember that one. Learning is a process. Is a process. There is no end for learning. From birth to death is a learning. It is a process here. But what is that one is a modification in the behavior, the increase in the knowledge. Memory. Simple one definition is recall of the past. Memory is a recall of the past. Is the ability to recall information and past experience. Learning lies on the memory. If you know already know, then you can go, learn fast here. Learning, remember, mainly requires storage and retrieval on information here. Okay. Now, memory relies on the learn. So both are correlated. Both are correlated here. So now that is one thing here. Then after that, now what is going to happen? This one here, scientists this one made that brain assess the brain activity during learning and memory task, or is EEG, electroencephalography. Electroencephalography. This is the technique used here, where electrodes are used on skull to monitor electrical activity across the brain here. Memory is very, very essential to all the learning, because it will let you know, store and retrieve the information that you learn here. Memory depends on the learning. Learning also depends on the memory. So both are together. Remember that one. Both are like side by side track, memory and the learning. If one is deficient, other is gone. So both are together. Remember learning and memory here. Now this is the electroencephalography. Just record that one. Okay. Now after this one here, American physiology, these are psychological association. Learning means there are different lot of definitions are there about learning and memory. But same thing here, learning means securing various skills and information. Memory means how the information is stored in the mind and recalls the information. It is almost impossible for an individual to truly learn something without the memory. Very, very impossible. Almost impossible. With learning without memory. Learning without memory. Now, repetition works well because it helps the brain to increase the connection. So these new connections allow for higher level of communication with different areas of the brain, which can improve your call and in general here. Recall in general here. The different types of memory are there: short-term memory and the long-term memory. Short-term memory, this is only for a few seconds it will stay there. Suppose say example how that one. Short-term memory example I'm talking. If anybody, without taking anything on the paper, if somebody tells their mobile number, within 10 minutes, 10-15 seconds, I'll forget. I will tell some numbers, but all I cannot tell clearly. That's the short-term memory. Long-term memory, it lasts for ever long time together. Example, when you have become adult, when you have to go where your school you studied, immediately you can think, this is my school where I studied. Like that's the long-term memory. Or if you are seeing a person after long time, several years later, yes, that's a long-term memory. Childhood memory is more likely to be recommended when the language is spoken during childhood. Okay, memories will also often, sometimes emotional, match between the language spoken or experience took place here. Okay, while remembering here. Now, that is the memory here. Now, I'll tell you some of the places where this all our things where is work is going on. The main work is going on in Bangalore. That is called as neurophysiology department, and another even All India Institute of Medical in New Delhi also. Stem cell therapy also seen in recently in Hyderabad, named National Institute of Medical Sciences. There are a few institutes I know that one. Maybe many other institutes in the. Okay, so there is this lab neurophysiology. There are a lot of contribution to meditation and sleep. They have done it. Then neurobiology of sleep, Ayurvedic is one, anxiety disorders, and cognitive and emotional assessment protocol. So much of work is going on in the Bangalore, this neurophysiology department. Of course, even in Delhi also a lot of work is going on. I'm talking in India here. Now there are apart this is they have a lot of collaborations with so many places which I have said that one. And apart from, if anybody wants to research here, they can go through the funding agencies or you can go visit the departments by mail or something, whatever it may be. There's a lot of funding agencies are there, like DST, Department of Science and Technology, CSR, Science Council of Scientific Industrial Research, Indian Council of Mutual Research, ITC, DBT, New Delhi, IBM. So many are. I'm just telling you a few here. Many funding agencies are there. One has to go and see, explore any possibilities are there regarding this one. That neuro. I'm telling only I might have given maybe very little information or basic information I might have given, but lot of work is going on nowadays. Some stem cell therapy, brain mapping is a very big field here. Big field. Lot of work is going on. So one has to know this all these things by seeing the websites, all these things. Availability of chances of doing the research here. Okay. Thank you for patient listening.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. It was nice having you here for this presentation, sir. Thank you.
And thank you, Ravi.
Yes, sir.